So let me get this straight. This is Haley Morgan. Her and her husband own a rental property, and their tenant of 2 years decided to move out. So they found two new tenants to rent the property to, who decided to sign their lease and move in on Super Bowl Sunday of 2025. So these are the tenants. Kathleen Kennedy, who is a DHL supply chain human resources employee. And then we have Caitlin Poor. She is an emergency medicine physician assistant at Atrium Health Wake Forest Baptist, and she also attended Ohio State University. So immediately after Caitlin and Kathleen moved in, they had a long list of demands that they wanted Mrs. Morgan and Mr. Morgan to meet. And to accommodate them, they did everything they could to meet the demands, including removing the popcorn ceiling. They also messaged Mrs. Morgan saying, "Hey, we clogged the toilet with human feces and we need you to take care of it." No questions asked. She sent her husband to take care of it. So within a week of living there, these two people decided that they just didn't want to live there anymore. They decided that their list of demands weren't being met and that they wanted their money back, and they wanted to break the lease and move out. So rather than argue with them, Mrs. Morgan and Mr. Morgan were like, "You know what? No harm, no foul. We'll let you break the lease, but we're not giving you the money back for the 1 week that you lived here. And we're definitely not giving back the security deposit until we come check out the property to make sure everything is squared away." So that upset them, and they started hurling racial slurs at Mr. and Mrs. Morgan verbally and through text message. So that's when Mr. Morgan decided to tell Mrs. Morgan, "Hey, I don't feel comfortable with them. I think I ought to check out the property on Friday just to make sure everything is on the up and up." And so he sent them a text message saying, "Hey, at 2 o'clock, I'm going to come through, check out the property." And that's exactly what he did. And everything looked good. So the next thing you know, Mrs. Morgan gets a call. I believe it was either that Monday or that Sunday. She gets a call from the neighbor of the property that they rented out, that they used to live at. And they were good friends with the neighbor. And the neighbor was like, "Hey, there's a lot of water coming off of your property. I don't know if it's rain, but I'm suspecting it's not. It looks like there might be a water leak inside the home. Could you guys come check it out?" And she was like, "Yeah, that's kind of weird. Okay." 2 minutes later, she gets a call from HOA. HOA report the same thing and was like, "Hey, I don't know what's going on, but you guys need to get here. You need to get here quick." So when they got there, this is what they saw. They saw a flood of water coming out of their apartment. At that point, this is when Mrs. Morgan decides to ask the neighbors, "Does anybody know where the tenants are?" And they were like, "Yeah, the tenants moved. They left last night with like 20 movers, and they had like moving trucks, and they were in a frenzy. They were literally trying to hurry up and get out of there. They were loading stuff in the truck, and they were out of there quick." They approached the door, and this is what they saw. They saw just water just streaming down the door. And this is the entrance of the home. The entrance of the home looks like it's flooded. It literally looks like a lazy river. So essentially, Kathleen and Caitlin decided to cut the pipes on the toilets and the bathrooms. So both toilets, they decided to cut the pipes. They left the water on, and they allowed it to flood the house. And as you can see, the property is ruined, literally damaged. The paint, the floors, everything. The house is so ruined that they can't even enter the property at this point. So let's do what we know how to do, and let's try to make them famous. Remember, Caitlin Poor, who works at Atrium Health Wake Forest Baptist. And then we have Kathleen Kennedy, human resources at DHL Supply Chain. We love to make people famous.